All right, let's talk about the dark web. You've heard the name, right? It's one of the most misunderstood, mysterious corners of the internet, a place that promises incredible freedom, but is also filled with some serious dangers. Think of this as your guided tour. We're going to pull back the curtain on this whole paradox of anonymity and show you the common traps that are just waiting for the unwary. Okay, let's dive in.
So, here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to look at the allure. Why do people even go there in the first place? Then we'll get into the three big categories of risk: traps of deception, traps for your data, and the really serious personal risks. And don't worry, we'll finish up with your best defense, your essential toolkit for staying safe if you ever decide to explore.
So, what are we actually talking about here? You've probably heard of the deep web, but that's just stuff search engines can't see, like your online banking or your email inbox. The dark web is a tiny, hidden part of that, and it's built from the ground up for anonymity. You can't just stumble upon it. You need special software, like the Tor browser, just to open the door.
And that anonymity? Well, that's the heart of the paradox. It offers some seriously powerful protection for people who need it, but it also provides the perfect cover for some very real dangers. So, the big question is, what's really hiding in those shadows?
Okay, let's start with the allure. Because, honestly, it's not just the digital back alley that people imagine. There are some really legitimate and sometimes absolutely crucial reasons why people venture into this part of the internet.
You'd probably be pretty surprised by who's actually using it. It's not just shadowy figures from the movies. We're talking about journalists who need to protect their sources, researchers handling super sensitive data, and activists in oppressive countries who need uncensored information just to survive. And yeah, of course, you also have regular people who are just curious or who simply value their privacy in a world that's always watching.
But that exact same search for privacy, that can lead you straight into our first big category of danger: traps of deception. This is where the anonymity that protects good people also ends up shielding the bad ones. You see, the very nature of the dark web makes it a perfect breeding ground for scams. We're going to look at the two most common ways this happens. First, the outright financial scams on fake marketplaces, and second, those clever social engineering tricks that are designed to fool you into giving up the very anonymity you came for.
This is trap number one, a total classic. A site pops up, it looks legit, maybe it even copies a well-known marketplace. It promises all kinds of exclusive stuff. You send over your crypto payment and poof, the site just vanishes. Your money's gone with it. The takeaway here is crucial. Trust is a currency you just cannot afford to spend on the dark web.
The whole point of using something like Tor is to stay anonymous, right? But scammers are masters at tricking that anonymity away from you. They'll ask for an email for verification, or maybe some personal detail for exclusive access. The second you give up any piece of real-world information, you've just broken your own shield, and suddenly you're a target for blackmail or even identity theft.
Okay, so beyond the social scams, you've got the technical traps. You should really think of these as digital landmines, just sitting there waiting for one single careless click to go off.
See, here the danger isn't about being tricked into giving your info away, it's about having it actively stolen right from your computer. We'll look at two main ways this happens: through booby-trapped files and through malicious links that can compromise your entire system before you even know what hit you.
So you find a file that looks like exactly what you need, a rare ebook, a piece of software, but these are often Trojan horses. They can be packed with malware to spy on you, ransomware to lock up all your files, or even spyware specifically designed to break your anonymity and expose your real location.
Navigating the dark web can feel like walking through a minefield of links. They're everywhere, in forums, on old directories. One wrong click can send you to a phishing site that looks real but is built to steal your passwords. Or even worse, it could lead to a page that silently attacks your browser and steals your data without you having to do anything else at all.
And that brings us to the most serious category of risk. This isn't about losing a little bit of crypto or getting a virus anymore. We're talking about crossing lines that can have severe, real-world consequences that you just can't take back.
So here's the bottom line. Even if you're just looking around out of morbid curiosity, the moment you start engaging with illegal content or marketplaces, you put yourself squarely on the radar of law enforcement agencies all over the world. And on top of that, it makes you the perfect victim for scammers and blackmailers. I mean, think about it. Who are you going to report them to?
Let's just pause on this for a second. This quote really gets to the heart of it all. Just because the dark web offers anonymity, it doesn't mean you're exempt from real-world consequences. It's a powerful reminder to stay grounded.
Okay, we've walked through the major traps. Now for the most important part. How do you actually defend yourself? Let's build your essential toolkit for navigating these shadows safely.
But before we get to the checklist of what to do, we have to talk about the final and maybe the biggest trap of all. And it's the one you set for yourself, simply failing to prepare. All those other traps we just talked about, they become 100 times more dangerous if you ignore basic security. It's a totally preventable mistake with some of the most severe consequences. This chart really lays it out in black and white. On the left, you've got your standard browsing. You're trackable, your encryption is basic. On the right, you have the secure approach for this environment, the Tor browser, with its multi-layered encryption plus a good VPN for an extra layer of protection. The difference in how vulnerable you are isn't small, it's literally night and day.
So here it is, your safety checklist. Rule 1. Use the Tor browser and always have a reputable VPN running with it. 2. Make sure your connections are secure with HTTPS. 3. Be incredibly skeptical of any download. If you don't absolutely have to download it, just don't. 4. Never ever ever share personal information. And finally, 5. Double-check every single URL before you click. Your own vigilance is your best weapon here.
All right, let's lock in those 6 traps one last time. First, the traps of deception, scam marketplaces, and oversharing your info. Second, traps for your data, malicious downloads, and unknown links. And finally, the traps with real-world consequences, engaging in illegal activity, and the one mistake that enables all the others, having lax security. Avoiding these is everything.
And this brings us right back to where we started, that big paradox of anonymity. The dark web was created from the idea that privacy is a fundamental right, a powerful tool for freedom in a world that's always watching. But as we've seen, that exact same tool, that cloak of anonymity, can become a trap, luring the curious and the unwary into some very real danger. And that leaves us with one final, crucial question to think about. How do we wield the tool of anonymity without falling into its trap?